From rivals to friends. Gift's father, Mr. Kelvin, sat at the dining table, his face lighting up as his son entered the living room holding a paper. The tension in the house eased as the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over their cozy home in the heart of Lagos. Wow! This is an excellent result! Mr. Kelvin exclaimed, his voice thick with pride. Gift, you've made me so proud, my son. Gift handed his father the report card, unsure of what to say. He had worked hard this term, but the weight of his mother's expectations still hung over him. Mr. Kelvin patted the seat beside him, motioning for Gift to sit down. His mother, Mrs. Blessing, hurried into the room, sensing the excitement. Kelvin, what's going on? She asked, her curiosity piqued. Our son, Mr. Kelvin beamed, came second in a class of 30. Second. Mrs. Blessing's smile faltered for a moment. She leaned over, inspecting the report card with a forced grin. Second, you say, she asked in a flat tone. Yes. Isn't that worth celebrating? Mr. Kelvin replied, standing up to give Gift a big hug. Mrs. Blessing sighed, placing the report card on the table. Who came first? Mr. Kelvin's smile wavered as he sensed a storm brewing. Does it matter? He did well, and that's all that counts. Mrs. Blessing crossed her arms. Gift, answer me. Who beat you? Gift hesitated, glancing at his father for support. It was Sharon, Mom. Mrs. Blessing's face darkened. Sharon. That girl. She was incredulous, her voice rising. How could you let her beat you? Mr. Kelvin stepped in, his voice firm but calm. Blessing, what are you saying? Our son came second. We should be proud of him. But Mrs. Blessing wasn't satisfied. No, Kelvin. Gift had one job, to be the best. Second place isn't good enough, especially when it's Sharon. Gift's heart sank. He had anticipated this reaction. No matter how hard he worked, his mother always found fault. It wasn't just about being good, it was about being perfect. Gift, she continued, turning to him with a stern expression, you let a girl like Sharon beat you. What were you doing when she was working hard? Gift's voice trembled. Mom, I did my best. Your best wasn't enough. Mrs. Blessing shot back, her words stinging. Second place means nothing if you let Sharon come first. You failed. Gift sat quietly at the dinner table, trying to swallow the lump forming in his throat. His father, sensing the rising tension, placed a comforting hand on his shoulder. Gift, you did great. Don't let anyone make you feel otherwise, Mr. Kelvin said softly, shooting a glance at his wife. But Mrs. Blessing wasn't finished. Her arms crossed, she stared Gift down with eyes filled with disappointment. I'm not asking for much, Gift. Just to be the best, she said in a cold voice. We've sacrificed a lot for your education. Do you think coming second justifies all the money and effort we've poured into you? Gift felt his hands shaking under the table. Mom, I studied. I really did. Studying isn't enough when someone like Sharon is outsmarting you, she snapped, her tone sharp. How can you let a girl like her take first place? Do you know what people will say? Mr. Kelvin, visibly frustrated, stood up. Enough, Blessing. You're taking this too far. He's a bright boy. He worked hard. Sharon's result doesn't change that. But Mrs. Blessing wasn't about to let it go. Don't you get it, Kelvin? Sharon's mother, Vera, will gloat. You know how she is. She'll call the whole neighborhood to boast about her daughter beating our son. It's humiliating. Gift's stomach churned at the mention of Vera. Sharon's mother was known for her competitive nature. Whenever Sharon did well, Vera would parade around the neighborhood like she had won a grand prize, making snide comments about other children's results. Gift knew this wasn't just about school. This was about a silent war between his mother and Sharon's. "You're not a failure, son," Mr. Kelvin said, trying to reassure him. "You have to be proud of what you've achieved. Second place out of 30 is excellent." Gift nodded weakly, appreciating his father's support but feeling the weight of his mother's anger. His heart raced as he stared at the plate of untouched food before him. He didn't have an appetite, only the growing dread of what tomorrow would bring at school. Mrs. Blessing shook her head, pacing back and forth. "Vera and Sharon think they're better than us. That girl has no respect for you, Gift. She thinks she's smarter. Are you going to let her keep beating you?" "I'll try harder next time, Mom," Gift whispered. "Trying isn't enough," she replied, her voice cutting through the room like ice. "I expect you to be first. Anything less is unacceptable." Gift bit his lip, the pressure inside him building. He could feel his mother's gaze burning into him, a silent demand for perfection. In his mind, he replayed the day at school, how Sharon had walked up to him after the results were announced, her smug smile making his stomach churn. The next morning, Gift woke up feeling the weight of the world on his shoulders. He didn't want to go to school, not after the way his mother had scolded him. But he had no choice. As he got ready, his mother's words echoed in his mind, "Sharon beat you." On the bus ride to school, his best friend, Jerry, noticed Gift's silence. "Hey, Gift, what's up?" Jerry asked, nudging him. "You don't look so good." Gift forced a smile. "It's nothing. Just some stuff at home." "Let me guess, your mom's upset about Sharon coming first again." Jerry guessed. Gift sighed. "Yeah. It's always the same. I come close, but it's never enough. She wants me to beat Sharon." Jerry chuckled. "Man, your mom takes this school stuff way too seriously. But you know, Sharon's not unbeatable. You just have to play it smart." Gift raised an eyebrow. "What do you mean?" "You know she's good in math, right? But she's not that great in sports. You could challenge her to something else, something outside of schoolwork," Jerry suggested, grinning mischievously. Gift considered it for a moment. Jerry's idea wasn't half bad. If he couldn't beat Sharon in class, maybe he could outshine her somewhere else. But it wasn't just about winning. Sharon was smart, and she knew it. She wasn't just his classmate, she was his biggest rival, and their mothers only fueled the competition. When they arrived at school, Gift saw Sharon standing with a group of friends near the entrance. She was laughing, probably still basking in the glory of coming first. He felt his stomach twist, but this time, something else stirred within him, determination. He approached her, trying to sound casual. "Hey, Sharon. Congrats on coming first." Sharon turned, her smile sweet but with an underlying edge. "Thanks, Gift. Second place isn't bad, you know. You'll get there someday." Gift clenched his fist, his face remaining calm despite the surge of frustration. "We'll see about that." Sharon raised an eyebrow, clearly intrigued. "Oh. What's that supposed to mean? How about we settle this in a different way?" Gift said, his heart pounding. "Not with grades. A challenge. You and me." Sharon's eyes lit up with curiosity. "A challenge? What kind of challenge?" Jerry, who had been listening from the sidelines, stepped forward. "A race. After school. The park near the basketball court. First to finish wins." Sharon crossed her arms, considering it for a moment. Then, she smiled, a competitive glint in her eyes. "You're on, Gift." Jerry grinned. "Of course it is. You've got this, Gift. Sharon may be smart, but you're faster. Besides, she's been too comfortable at the top. It's time to shake things up. Gift wasn't so sure. His mind flashed back to the conversations with his mother, her voice reminding him that second place wasn't good enough. He wasn't just racing Sharon, he was racing for his pride, for his family. Across the cafeteria, Sharon sat with her friends, discussing strategies. Gift really thinks he can beat me, she scoffed, though there was a hint of doubt in her voice. This isn't just about a race. It's about proving who's better. As the final bell rang, students rushed to the park, eager to witness the competition. Gift and Sharon stood side by side at the starting line, their faces set with determination. The crowd's energy was electric, and even though this was just a race, it felt like so much more. On your marks, Jerry called out, raising his hand. Get set. Go. The two competitors shot off the starting line like arrows, feet pounding the pavement as they raced toward the finish line. The wind whipped through Gift's hair, his heart beating like a drum in his chest. For a moment, everything else disappeared, the pressure from his mother, the rivalry with Sharon, it was just him and the open road ahead. But Sharon wasn't far behind. She pushed herself harder, determined not to let Gift win. The crowd cheered from the sidelines, but Gift could barely hear them. His focus was on one thing, winning. As the finish line came into view, both Gift and Sharon were neck and neck, neither willing to give an inch. It was going to be close, too close to call. As Gift and Sharon approached the finish line, the crowd's cheers seemed to fade into the background. All Gift could hear was the pounding of his own heartbeat. He was so close, just a few more steps, and he would prove that he was more than just a second-place student. He could hear Sharon's footsteps beside him, equally determined, but Gift pushed himself harder, faster. Just when it seemed Gift might inch ahead, something unexpected happened. Sharon tripped on a small rock hidden beneath the grass. She stumbled, and in an instant, Gift had a choice: keep running to the finish line and win, or stop and help her. For a brief moment, everything seemed to slow down. Gift glanced over at Sharon, who was on her knees, trying to get up. His instincts kicked in, and without thinking twice, he skidded to a stop and rushed to her side. "You okay?" he asked, offering his hand. Sharon looked up, surprised, her pride wounded more than her body. "Why did you stop?" she muttered, accepting his help. Gift pulled her up, shrugging as though the answer was obvious. "It's just a race." Sharon stood, dusting herself off, her face a mixture of shock and something Gift couldn't quite place. "You could have won." Gift smiled slightly. "Maybe. But it wouldn't have felt right." The crowd, which had been buzzing with excitement, grew silent as they watched the two rivals standing at the finish line together. Neither had crossed it. Neither had won. But something felt different, something had shifted. Jerry ran over, out of breath. "What are you doing, man? You could have beaten her." Gift shook his head, his expression calm. "Winning isn't everything, Jerry." The crowd slowly dispersed, murmuring in confusion at the strange ending to what was supposed to be the most intense competition between the two rivals. For once, there was no clear winner, but in that moment, Gift didn't care. As he walked home, Sharon caught up with him, walking in silence for a few minutes before speaking. "You surprised me back there," she admitted, her voice quieter than usual. Gift shrugged. "Why?" "Because I didn't leave you behind." Sharon gave him a sidelong glance. "Most people would have." "Yeah, but I'm not most people," Gift said simply. "I'm just me." For the first time, Sharon didn't have a clever retort or a smug comment. She was thoughtful, almost reflective. "You know," she said after a pause, "my mom would have been furious if she knew I fell." Gift laughed a little. "Yeah, I can imagine." My mom's probably going to ask why I didn't keep running. Sharon smiled faintly. Our moms, they're always pushing us, huh? Gift nodded, understanding exactly what she meant. Yeah, but sometimes, they push us in the wrong way. There was another pause, then Sharon looked at him, her expression serious. I never hated you, Gift. Gift raised an eyebrow. Could have fooled me. Sharon laughed softly. Okay, maybe I acted like I did. But it was more about the pressure. Our moms are so competitive. It's like we are supposed to be enemies or something. Gift thought about that for a moment. Yeah, it's like they want us to hate each other. Sharon nodded. But I don't. I don't want to keep doing this, competing, fighting. It's exhausting. Gift stopped walking, turning to face her. So, what do we do about it? Sharon hesitated, then smiled, a genuine smile this time. Maybe we stop fighting. Maybe we just be friends. Gift blinked, surprised. You. Be friends with me. Why not? Sharon said, a playful glint in her eye. I mean, after today, I think you've earned it. Gift laughed. Well, I guess I've seen worse ideas. They walked the rest of the way in companionable silence, both realizing that maybe, just maybe, this rivalry was coming to an end. The moment Gift walked through the front door, his mother, Mrs. Blessing, was waiting for him in the living room. She looked furious, pacing back and forth. Gift, she snapped, her voice sharp. What happened at the race? Gift took a deep breath, knowing this conversation was coming. I didn't win, Mom. Mrs. Blessing's eyes narrowed. What do you mean, you didn't win? You were ahead. Jerry told me Sharon fell, and you still didn't cross the finish line. You had one job, Gift. It wasn't about winning, Gift replied, trying to stay calm. Mrs. Blessing's face reddened with anger. Not about winning. Gift, we don't stop for losers. You had a chance to beat Sharon, and you threw it away. Gift clenched his fist, his voice rising. Sharon's not a loser, Mom. She's just like me, trying to do her best. She fell, so I helped her. It's not always about being first. Mrs. Blessing's eyes flashed with disbelief. You stopped to help that girl? After everything. She's the reason you're not at the top. No, Mom, Gift said firmly. The pressure you're putting on me is the reason. You're so focused on beating Vera and Sharon that you've forgotten I'm just a kid. I'm tired of all of this. Mr. Kelvin, who had been listening from the kitchen, stepped in. Blessing, that's enough. Mrs. Blessing whipped around, her face a mixture of frustration and disbelief. Enough. Our son had the chance to finally come first, and he blew it. Mr. Kelvin crossed his arms, his expression calm but stern. Gift made the right choice. He helped a friend when she needed it. That's more important than winning any race. Gift felt a wave of relief wash over him as his father spoke. It was the first time he felt like someone truly understood. Mrs. Blessing, however, wasn't ready to back down. You don't understand, Kelvin. Vera is going to rub this in my face. She'll say Sharon beat Gift again. Mr. Kelvin shook his head. This isn't about Vera or Sharon. This is about Gift. He made a decision based on kindness and integrity. That's what matters. Mrs. Blessing opened her mouth to argue, but then closed it, realizing she had no response. She stormed out of the room, leaving Gift and his father standing in silence. Thanks, Dad, Gift said quietly. Mr. Kelvin smiled, patting his son on the back. You did good today, son. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Meanwhile, across town, Sharon sat at the dinner table with her mother, Vera, who was already fuming. How could you trip, Sharon? You were supposed to win that race. Sharon sighed, pushing her food around on her plate. Mom, it was just a race. It doesn't matter. It does matter. Vera snapped. Blessing will be gloating. You had the chance to prove you're the best, and you let it slip away. Sharon put down her fork, feeling the same exhaustion that Gift had felt earlier. I'm tired of this, Mom. Tired of competing with Gift all the time. It's exhausting, and it's not worth it. Vera blinked, stunned. What are you talking about? You're better than him, Sharon. You've always been better. Maybe, Sharon replied, her voice steady. But that doesn't mean I have to keep proving it. I just want to be me, not some version of myself that's always trying to outdo Gift. He's not my enemy, Mom. He's my friend. Vera stared at her daughter, speechless for the first time. She had always been so focused on beating Blessing that she had pushed her daughter into a rivalry that didn't need to exist. I'm done with the competition, Mom, Sharon said softly, standing up from the table. It's over. The next day at school, Gift and Sharon crossed paths in the hallway. For a moment, there was silence between them. Then, Sharon smiled. Hey, Gift. Hey, Gift replied, smiling back. Without another word, they walked to class together, side by side. The rivalry was over, and in its place, a new friendship had begun. Later that evening, both families found themselves face to face in an unexpected showdown at the school's parent-teacher conference. Mrs. Blessing and Vera hadn't seen each other since the race, and the tension between them was thick in the air. The teachers had noticed the recent competition between their children and decided to hold a special meeting to address the matter. Gift and Sharon sat quietly at the back of the room, nervously watching their mothers as they took seats at the conference table. Mrs. Blessing crossed her arms, glaring at Vera. So, Vera, I suppose you're here to boast about Sharon's victory again. Vera, not one to back down, shot a smug look. Oh, Blessing, dear. We both know Sharon has always been ahead, don't we? Before the situation could escalate, the school principal, Mr. Olimide, cleared his throat and began to speak. Ladies, gentlemen, we are not here to discuss who is first or second. We are here to talk about the pressure these children have been under due to this rivalry. Mrs. Blessing and Vera blinked in surprise. They hadn't expected to be called out like this. Mr. Olimide continued. This rivalry between Gift and Sharon has been creating unnecessary stress in their lives. Instead of supporting them, it seems the parents have fueled a competition that has gone too far. It's affecting their academics and well-being. Gift and Sharon exchanged glances, both relieved to have someone finally voice what they had been feeling for so long. Gift and Sharon are exceptional students, the principal went on, but they deserve the chance to learn and grow without the pressure of competing to the point of exhaustion. Mrs. Blessing shifted uncomfortably in her seat. I just want what's best for my son. I'm not pressuring him. Are you sure? Mr. Kelvin said quietly from beside her. Because I think this has become about more than just Gift's success. It's about your rivalry with Vera. Vera opened her mouth to protest, but stopped when she saw the serious look on Sharon's face. Mom, Sharon said softly, it's true. Gift and I have been competing because of you two, not because we want to. Mrs. Blessing and Vera both looked stunned. They hadn't realized the impact their rivalry was having on their children. Mr. Olimide looked at the two mothers, his tone calm but firm. If this continues, it's going to hurt them more than help. I suggest you both reconsider how you've been handling this situation. After the conference, the families gathered outside the school, the tension still lingering but softened by the principal's words. Gift stood with his father, while Sharon stood next to Vera, who was uncharacteristically quiet. "Mom," Gift began, looking up at Mrs. Blessing, "I don't need to be first all the time. I just want to be me." Mrs. Blessing stared at her son, her fierce expression fading as she finally saw the exhaustion in his eyes. She had always pushed him to be the best, thinking it would make him stronger, but now she realized it was only wearing him down. "I just wanted you to succeed," she said quietly, her voice wavering. "I know," Gift replied gently. "But I can't do that if I'm always trying to prove something to you or to Sharon." Beside them, Sharon was having a similar conversation with her mother. "Mom, I don't need to beat Gift to be happy. I'm tired of fighting." Vera bit her lip, her fierce exterior cracking as she looked at her daughter's tired face. "I didn't mean for it to be like this," she said, her voice soft. I wanted you to be the best." Sharon shook her head. "Being the best doesn't mean we have to tear others down. I just want to be friends with Gift." Both mothers stood there, facing the reality they had been avoiding for so long. Their rivalry wasn't helping their children, it was hurting them. Slowly, reluctantly, they exchanged glances. "I guess we've been a little too competitive," Vera admitted, crossing her arms. "I suppose it's time to let them be kids." Mrs. Blessing nodded, sighing. "Maybe it's time to stop competing, Vera." The two mothers shared a rare moment of understanding, their years of rivalry finally fading. The next day at school, everything felt different. The air was lighter, and for the first time in a long while, Gift and Sharon walked into class without the weight of their parents' expectations pressing down on them. They smiled at each other across the classroom, no longer rivals but friends. During recess, they sat together under the shade of a large tree. "Do you think our moms will actually stop fighting?" Sharon asked, picking at the grass. Gift shrugged, smiling. "I don't know, but it feels different now. Maybe they'll finally let it go." "Yeah," Sharon agreed, leaning back against the tree. "It's nice, though. Not having to worry about who's better all the time." Gift nodded. "I guess we can just be Gift and Sharon now." Sharon laughed. "That sounds good to me." For the first time in a long while, there was no pressure to compete, no expectations hanging over their heads. They could just be themselves, and that felt like victory enough. As the weeks went by, Gift and Sharon's newfound friendship grew stronger. Without the constant competition between them, they began to realize how much they actually had in common. They both loved solving puzzles, playing basketball, and even had a shared interest in science projects. One afternoon, as they sat in the school library working on an assignment together, Jerry walked in, looking confused. "Wait a minute," he said, scratching his head. "You two are friends now?" Gift and Sharon exchanged amused glances. "Yep," Gift replied with a grin. "Is that a problem?" Jerry blinked, then grinned back. "No, it's just weird seeing you guys not fighting for once." Sharon shrugged. "We realized it wasn't worth it. We're better off working together." "Yeah," Gift added. "Turns out, it's more fun this way." Jerry chuckled, shaking his head. "Well, I guess that's good. But what about the next challenge? You two going to compete again?" Gift and Sharon exchanged another glance. "We might," Sharon said, smiling. "But this time, it will be for fun, not because anyone's making us." Gift nodded in agreement. "Yeah. No more pressure." The school year was coming to an end, and with it, the final exams. As usual, Gift and Sharon studied hard, but this time, there was no tension between them. They encouraged each other, sharing tips and helping one another understand the more difficult concept. On the day of the final test, they sat next to each other in the exam hall. As the teacher handed out the papers, Sharon glanced at Gift, giving him a small smile. "Good luck." You too, Gift whispered back. The exam was tough, but both of them felt prepared. They worked through the questions with confidence, knowing that whatever happened, it wouldn't change the fact that they had both done their best. When the results were finally posted a week later, there was no crowd, no whispers of rivalry. Gift and Sharon walked up to the notice board together, checking the list. Gift came first. Sharon came second. They looked at each other for a moment, then both burst out laughing. Well, I guess it's your turn to be at the top, Sharon said, smiling. Gift grinned. Maybe. But it doesn't really matter, does it? Nope, Sharon agreed. Not at all. That afternoon, they met up at the park with Jerry and a few other friends to celebrate the end of the school year. As they sat on the grass, enjoying ice cream and watching the sunset, Gift realized something important. This, being with friends, laughing, having fun, was what really mattered. The pressure to be the best, to always compete, seemed so small in comparison. Sharon nudged him playfully. What are you thinking about? Gift smiled, looking around at his friends. Just that this is the real victory. Sharon followed his gaze and nodded. Yeah. It really is. They sat there, watching the sky turn shades of orange and pink, knowing that whatever the future held, they had already won. I hope you enjoyed the tale. If so, please like the video, comment, share it with your family and friends, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell for more enchanting tales like this one. Goodbye.